Hello and welcome to another video. This is podcast episode 59, and again it has been another couple of months, and so I thought, you know what, I should give a life update as well, because it's also going to impact the future of the podcast, I think, in a positive way. So that's good. So yeah, I've written down a couple of things I just wanted to briefly address. If you're not interested in that, there's a timestamp that you can skip to. In any case, yes, so I think maybe 2 episodes ago I did speak about having my first job within the knitting slash yarn industry. I have done this for the past 7 months, and during that time, just to state the facts, I think about halfway through the time that I was working there, my duties changed, and I was requested to make IP for knitting and crochet, and for a number of reasons that was something that wasn't very feasible for me, something that I wasn't all that interested in doing. And so when it was time to renew my contract, I had to decline. So yes, my last week of working was the week prior to this one, and within that time my relationship ended as well, which is also why this place is looking a bit different over the past, I would say, maybe 6-7 days. I have completely turned around my living room into a full-blown studio, because now I'm just working for myself, so to speak. Having said that, I booked my first professional gig as a freelance costumer. So what is costuming? Basically, my specialty is vintage knitwear and making those pieces for instance, theatre, film, TV, opera, etc., etc. So I got my first gig. I'm very, very excited about that. I can't really say much about that until I think somewhere in December. But that is something that I'm very happy and thankful for. What else is there to say? Oh yes, I opened up an online vintage button store. I traveled to France last month, and I purchased old stock from a French haberdashery. And so now I have thousands upon thousands of buttons ranging from the late 19th century up until the early 2000s. And so I'm slowly working through them, identifying them, cleaning them up, and putting them on my website. So there are a couple of them already online. I will leave a link in the description box if you are interested in that, or you just want to see some of the cool buttons that I found. Because honestly, I think it's kind of sad to see how the quote-unquote button industry is at the moment. A lot of boring things, and then now I get to look at all these cool, interesting buttons that used to be very popular. So that's, I think, about everything in terms of major changes. How I'm personally feeling is very happy, very energetic, and just excited for the future, just excited to do a lot of things. I have way more free time and mental capacity to do things, which feels honestly very refreshing. So in terms of the podcast, I am going to try my best to be a bit more consistent, because I think it's very important for me to be able to process my making through this outlet. This is just a place that has helped me a lot in terms of developing my own style, my own preferences, and my interests within knitting and crochet and just sewing as well, even though I don't do that all that much. But yeah, and so I just want to try and keep this as a consistent thing in the way that I was able to do that last year. Having said that, now that I am freelancing, I'm making clothes at a more rapid pace. And so I am going to try and limit the amount of pieces that I talk about, just so that I can give the right amount of attention to pieces, and really go into the techniques and the things that I did to get to the point where I'm at. And I mean, I think, you know, if you're watching this channel, that is something that interests you as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be very fun. Okay, I think that is everything that I wanted to say in terms of changes. I'm also going to try and make these podcasts a bit shorter, but we'll just see how that goes. I've been recording for already a bit. Yeah, so let's start off with the first piece. Also, I have a mannequin now. I have one adjustable mannequin, and it goes up to a bust circumference of, I think, 84 centimeters, which is about 33 inches up until 90 centimeters, which is 100 centimeters, I think. Yeah, 100 centimeters, which is about 40 inches, because now I'm actually making clothes for different people. And I know, of course, that's not the complete size range, but I am starting off, I am learning. I do talk about well, on my TikTok, I've been talking a lot about the things that I'm doing to learn how to create clothes, bespoke clothing for people. Yeah, okay, let's bring her in. Here we go. I do want to say, I actually don't like referring to, how would I say this, individual inanimate objects with she or her, but I don't know why I did that, but there is a name here, Celine. But yeah, aside from that, yes, this is my mannequin. I would not recommend buying this Celine mannequin. I mean, it's nice that it's size adjustable, but I do have to say the way that you adjust, you can adjust the chest, the waist, and the hips, but you do that by, I don't know if you can see it well, but it's like this ring that you turn, so to speak, and it really hurts your hands, and it's not very fluid, so to speak. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass changing sizes. Yeah, so in the future, I think I would get a prim mannequin instead. But yes, this is the first piece that I would like to talk about. I will also try to insert a picture of how it looks from, I wanted to say head to toe, neck to end of skirt. Yes, so this is actually based off of a pattern from the 1950s. It's from a pattern book called Bear Brand Hand Knit Fashions, volume 349. And it's from at least according to the Etsy seller, I bought a PDF. They date it circa 1954, and the name is Style 2490. So I actually, now that I spend I spend a large amount of my time just looking on Etsy and looking on eBay, going to libraries to find, or charity shops to find old vintage patterns, and I have acquired a taste for specific brands that I enjoy. I like Bear Brand. I like Vogue Knitting, Jack Frost. There's some French, there's some French magazines I also enjoy, like Mode et Travaux and Tricot et Crochet from the 1930s up until the 1940s, 50s. But yeah, you will see pieces from all those places in the future. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So the reason I said that is because I actually really enjoy Bear Brand, their knitting patterns. I have another volume. I think it's volume 347. I can have a look. No, it's 346. I'm also working on at least one pattern from that specific booklet as well. But yeah, really liked the designs. So this is style 2490, and this was actually originally a dress. And I decided to not do that. I decided to make a cord which turned into a bolero and just a skirt, and I made this on the machine. The yarn that I used is a soft Donegal. It's from Donegal Yarns, and the code is 5509 Grease. That is the gray that you see here. And maybe if you get a bit closer, you can see that there's some crochet finishing here. There's some brown and there's some blue. And I did that because this is tweed yarn, and there are some speckles of kind of grey, bluish, and light brown, but also a bit of lighter grey and black in here as well. And I wanted to kind of echo that in the finishing of this piece. So the brown is also soft Donegal 5518 Boyne. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is just a plain fingering weight yarn. And then I used another type of yarn for the blue. This is actually BC Garn's Bio Shetland in the color grey blue, number 15. Also fingering weight yarn. Yes, so I made a couple of modifications. The thing is that the patterns that I work with are intended for hand knitting, and often that's not possible on a machine. For instance, knitting in the round, a skirt on the machine is very tough to do because every couple of, I would say, 5 centimeters, 2 inches, what's that? 2 inches, yeah, is 5 centimeters roughly. Every 5 centimeters, you're going to have to often decrease evenly in the round. And you can knit in the round on a knitting machine, but the decreases are going to be a pain in the ass because of the needles. Because for people who don't know how a knitting machine works, basically if you make a decrease in the middle of your knitting on the machine, you're going to have to shift all the stitches to make up for that gap. And so that's very infeasible for a machine, unless you want to, every 5 centimeters, take the skirt off your machine, manually do all the hand decreases, and then put them on the machine. That's also an option. Yeah, so that was how the original was made by hand. So I think the way it was constructed was give me a second just to make sure I don't want to say stuff that isn't true. Yes, okay, so the way the original dress was made is that it's it goes bottom up the skirt, and then you do your decreases every decrease round, and then you have quite a bit of extra stitches here at the waist, and those would then be eliminated by pleats at the front here. And then for the raglan at the top, the raglan top of the dress, you just start at the top, and then I'm pretty sure you knit everything in pieces. Yeah, you knit everything in pieces, which is something I did as well. And then you seam that up, and you seam it to the skirt with the pleats, and then you do your crochet, your crochet border on the sleeves, and then all around the neck, and then at the front, and then you also do this on the skirt separately, and then you seam that border together. So that's how the original was made, and like I said, I had to make a couple of changes, also some changes that I felt were a bit necessary for this piece. So for one, I changed the gauge. This is a fingering weight yarn, like I said before. I think it's about 400 meters per 100 grams, something like that. But on my machine, for me, at least my opinion, the best, how would I say this? Yeah, the best gauge, in my opinion, for this yarn is 28 stitches. For the yarn and on my machine as well. And the original pattern used 32 stitches per 10 centimeters. So I had to change the gauge to ensure that I would get a nice piece of knitting in the end. And it's obviously a bit thicker than the original, and so I was kind of looking at how the pleats would sit here at the front, and I felt that the fabric would just be a bit too stiff for that. So what I opted to do was actually just heavily decrease here at the top, and then instead of attaching it to the top, I added a casing. And I do have to say, this is something that took me so long to figure out, because I think, for one, knitted skirts, dresses aren't as popular as they used to be. And the technique that you now usually see when it comes to adding an elastic to a skirt is that of using plain stockinette stitch, and then for instance making just a purl ridge to hem the top, and then knitting some more stockinette stitch, and then seaming that on the inside, and then you kind of have a tube where you insert your elastic. The thing is that vintage patterns use a different way of, or at least I've often seen this done or suggested in a different way in vintage patterns, and I had a tough time understanding how exactly it was supposed to be done. So there are two different ways of doing it, or at least two common ways that I've seen. You have just kind of your regular casing, like this one, which I will show soon a bit more in depth, but you also have what would you call it, a beading, and that is basically that you knit horizontally, like you don't knit from bottom to top, you knit sideways. Basically your knitting goes this way, and you create, or crochet, you basically create holes so that you can weave in the elastic, and that's usually meant for skirts that you're supposed to be something goes on top so that you can't really see the beading when you're wearing it. In any case, I spent, I think, maybe 2 weeks looking for some instructions on how to do this casing properly. and the pictures kind of confused me because, okay, I found a book that explained this. Basically, a lot of the vintage patterns tell you to work about 2 rows of single crochet. Well, this book told me to use more rows to get about 2.5 centimeters, just in order to stabilize the top a bit more. And I would agree, it does look a lot nicer if you have a thicker band to secure your elastic to. Yeah, okay, so that's the first thing that was said. And then basically on your second to last row of crochet, you're supposed to you're supposed to attach yarn to that row, and then you're supposed to chain a couple of stitches and then attach it on some rows down. And then you kind of create a zigzag pattern, which is where you put in the elastic. So I can show you up close how that looks. Yeah, so this is how it looks. I attached the yarn to the second to last row, and then I chained a number of stitches, attached it to a purl ridge, so to speak, not purl ridge, but you know, the back of reverse stockinette, just one of those bars, and then chained again, and then attached it to the second to last row, and did that all round. And then I added the elastic. Yeah, so the reason why I struggled with it is because, okay, so if you're looking at this now, it's pretty how would I say that? It's pretty straight, or, well, it's diagonal, of course, but the way the example picture in the book that I was looking at had it so that these chains looked more diagonal, so you were basically covering more stitches than you would in something like this. I don't know if this is making a lot of sense, but basically when I did that, and I was skipping a ton of stitches with this zigzag, I inserted the elastic and it wasn't looking good. It looked very sloppy, just not very neat. And then I think I read about 2 or 3 other knitting manuals, or old vintage knitting manuals, and then it kind of just clicked to me that basically the way the path that you follow is you attach it at the top, then you shift 1 stitch. So you is that correct? Is that what I did? No. You shift 2 stitches to the left, and then you attach it, then you go up again and you shift 2 stitches to the left. So basically in between every V at the top, or how would I say this, roof at the bottom, there's 3 stitches in between each space, and that is narrow enough to get your elastic to sit quite nicely. Yes, so that is everything that I did. No, that's not everything that I did with the skirt. So like I said, knitting in the round a skirt on the machine is very hard if you have frequent decreases. So what I ended up doing is I split the skirt in half. As you can see here, this is the section that I seamed here. And then I just calculated how many decreases or how many stitches I needed at some point, and then based my decreases on that. And so I just add, that's basically what I did. That's basically what I did. And so now all the decreases are on one side here and the others on the other side. And that seemed to work out quite nicely. I'm very happy with the end result of the skirt. I do have to say, now, because I don't have the crochet section here at the bottom, I kind of felt that the top wasn't very cohesive. Or the two sets didn't completely match. So what I ended up doing is I added the crochet edging of the bolero. I added it to the bottom of the skirt, and I'm very happy because now it really seems like it feels like it fits in my opinion. Okay, so that's everything for the skirt. As for the bolero, I kind of just followed the instructions of the pattern because, like I said, it was all knitted flat. And with the raglan, if you are knitting it flat, all of the decreases are on the sides. So the only thing I really needed to do was change the gauge. The thing also, when you're changing a pattern from when you're changing a pattern from hand knitting to machine knitting, is that your machine knitting row gauge is often a lot tighter than if you were to hand knit something at the same stitch gauge. So often, if I'm looking at it correctly now, at the gauge for the original says 32 stitches per 10 centimeters, and then it says 44 rows per 10 centimeters. But my gauge was 28 stitches per 10 centimeters and about 43 or 44 rows per 10 centimeters. So you can see that's like way tighter, and so that is something that I had to take into account, especially with a raglan. Well, not especially with a raglan, but that is something that I had to keep in mind, and this is something that I'll have to be more aware of, because I kind of just, so basically what I did was that I just calculated the amount of decreases that I had to do, and then I calculated the depth, the armhole depth that would create, and I think for this it created an armhole depth of about 18 centimeters, and this was the smallest size for someone with a bust circumference of about 83 centimeters, 80 centimeters, something like that. And when it comes to a satin sleeve top, people with that bust circumference, an armhole depth of about 14 centimeters is fine. 15 centimeters for a fitted piece, of course, is totally fine. And so when I kind of heard the number 18 centimeters, I was like, oh, okay, that seems right. Well, wrong. Well, right. But what I should have done is checked. I should have checked, because I was going off of how much one would need for a satin sleeve. But of course, a satin sleeve is so much more, how would I say it? It's so much more accurate to the shape of your body. I mean, if you think about it, a raglan, right? It's basically just trapezoids which your body has to fit in, and a satin sleeve is really just conforming. I mean, you can do shoulder shaping here, right, and get that straight, and then you go straight down here with your cross front measurement, making it sure that it just basically sticks to your body essentially, and then you can carve out the armhole here, making sure that it really fits around your body, and of course you can add bust darts, so there's way less armhole depth than what you would need with a raglan, and I should have checked how much extra you needed, and I figured that out at a later stage once I had seen this. I mean, it's completely fine to wear. It is within the range of someone with this size, but I felt that it was just on that, how would I say that, on that border of, if I had taken out an extra centimeter, it would have been too tight, and I would have to rip this all out and redo it. So that is something that I am going to remember in the future. Okay, what else is there to say? I don't think all that much. I had first actually intended, also I don't really like how the clothes look when I put it on this mannequin. I have worn this myself, and I can say that it does look better on me. But yeah, you know, this is all I have. I don't I don't have every single body type readily available for me for fitting. So you know, a mannequin is kind of like the best that you can get in those terms. But what did I want to say about this? Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I had initially intended to add some buttons here, and then or snaps, I should say, add some snaps here, like in the original pattern. But I showed this on TikTok, and a lot of people said, you know what, it actually looks really nice without the buttons, just as a bolero. And I thought, you know what, actually it does look nice like this already. So that's how I'm keeping this. Yeah, so that is everything on the Bear Brand Hand Knit Fashions Volume 349 from circa 1954, style 2490. Okay, so I had planned to talk about 4 things today, but I think I am just going to chat about this one piece right here, and then I'll try and record again soon. Okay, so I'm just gonna do some changing. Okay, so the next piece, and probably last one for today, is this 1940s Vogue knitting blouse. It's called Striped Sleeve Blouse. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly which Vogue knitting book I found this in. Essentially, a lot of the books that I buy from eBay, I just send them to a family member in the UK. And so when I go and visit, I pick them up. And I went back in April, and I had accumulated so many books that I couldn't bring everything with me. So I just quickly took pictures of a lot of patterns that I wanted to give a go and just left them there. I can actually show you some of the things that I did get. Okay, nearly dropped that. So I traveled by myself with a small suitcase. And I could only bring with me a limited amount of things. It's from a charity auction, so I spent about, I think, £20 on this, 25 euros, I guess, something like this. Yeah, these are just inbound Stitchcraft booklets. Wait, this is the back, so this should be the front. Let me just show you. They're glued in, not, how would I say that? Tied in. Some books are bound with ropes that you can easily take out the magazine. But yeah, they're glued in. This is from 1953, and each book has a complete year. So I think I have 1950 up until 55. And then one of these books is from another, how would I call this? Another type of publication. I think this is still Stitchcraft, if I'm correct. Yeah, okay, so this is still Stitchcraft. Then that would mean that this one is the Oh wait, no, this is also stitch across still. Okay, I guess I left that one as well at I think I left that one as well then in the UK, but it's something I am going to try and pick up in the future. $55. Okay, I just realized that I left it in the UK. I think it was called Woman and Needle and Women. I think I have just another booklet or bound book of that. But yes, in any case, I do remember that it was from the 1940s. I have also a picture of the original. The thing that really, I would say about this pattern that really intrigued me was just the color combination. It's not like anything I've ever seen before, and luckily I was able to recreate this with just one specific yarn brand and line. It's again the BC Garn Bio Shetland. The colors that I used were 11. I think 11 is the main color, and then 30 and 80 for the kind of burgundy and dark green color right here. Again, this is a pattern that I had to change the gauge for because 32 stitches, and it was just very rough on the machine to get 32 stitches with this yarn. I tried it and it gave me a row gauge of 50. Yeah, 50. A row gauge of 50, and I don't know, the fabric wasn't, that was not the fabric I was going for. I wanted something with more, more flow, not too stiff, and I think this achieves that. So this was a piece with a lot of learning, how would I say this, learning curves. A lot of things were learned whilst making this piece. But before I get into that, I could first talk about the construction. I kept it fairly straightforward. I kind of just followed the pattern, and yeah, it's knitted in the traditional vintage manner in pieces, and then everything gets seamed up. So maybe you can see the back here as well. Yeah, it's a bit crumpled up. It's been in a box. But yeah, you start at the bottom with 2x2 ribbing. You work for a couple of centimeters, and then you start with the waist shaping, the shaping here. Yeah, you just increase a couple of stitches every couple of rows, and then it's time for the armhole shaping, binding off, decreasing stitches till you get to the top section here, and then you do some shoulder shaping. I do short rows instead of binding things off, just because that's easier. It's my preferred manner of doing things. And yeah, you do the same thing for the front, except you do separate at some point after the armhole shaping to create yeah, this keyhole effect. In the original pattern, actually, you can see that there's no button, and I didn't come up with this idea. The pattern suggests that you either just wear it loose without a button, or you can add it, and then you get this effect. And I thought that this was just a bit nicer. Although I do kind of like the loose one as well, so maybe in the future I'll try that. In terms of changes, the pattern does say with the, when you're making the body, to first decrease at the armholes and then increase. And I was a bit hesitant over that. I hadn't read that anywhere else, and I didn't really see what the purpose was of that. So if anyone does know, I would love to hear about that. But I didn't feel that it was necessary. I don't think that keeping things straight above would change much stylistically just from looking at the pattern, so I opted out of that. And as always, I had to redraft the sleeve cap again because of the tight row gauge of the machine, and just because it's a different yarn. It seems that vintage yarn behaves differently. I've heard a couple of people say that. I know there's a book out there that gives more explanation as to what's different, what the difference is between modern yarn and vintage yarn. But just due to that, just the differences, just due to that, I always check the armhole. I always make I always redraft not always. I always check if I do need to redraft the sleeve cap. And basically the quick and dirty way how to check how to check if you need to redraft is just calculating the circumference of quick and dirty. It actually takes some time. Is calculating the armhole circumference, and then checking the parameter of the sleeve cap. And the sleeve cap should at the very least be equal to the circumference of the armhole, or 2.5 centimeters or an inch longer, so that you can actually ease in the fabric nicely without it puckering or anything like that. I have read a book by Deborah G. Newton. I think it's called Designing Knitwear. It's a really good book, especially because of the kind of fundamental rules that she gives you in terms of specific sweater constructions, what you have to keep in mind in order to make sure that what you're making actually will work out. What was I saying with that? I don't know where I was going with that, but it's a great book. I would highly recommend it. It was definitely a book I held on to when I first started working on things, vintage patterns intensively, and it helped me a lot. Yes, so I did have to redraft this, and even though I did redraft it, it still didn't work out. The sleeve cap was still a bit too short, so what I ended up doing is I think I added maybe 4 more rows at the top here by hand, and then that seemed to work out just fine. So that works. The way I did these colored sleeves on my machine is I used a color changer. I received this as a gift, and I was very thankful, so I just got straight to checking out how to work with a color changer, because as you can see, there are 3 colors used here, and on most machines, I think if not every machine, max 2 you can use. I don't know if you can see my machine there, but you have this kind of tensioning mast, and you can put 2 colors in there, and the carriage also has only 2 spots to put your color in there, or to put your yarn in there. And the color changes, basically you can put an extra tensioning mast, and you can use 4 colors, and then you have a special carriage where you kind of like click on things. I can show it. You click on things. Wait, how does this work again? Yeah, it's a bit weird seeing it not on my machine, but you basically click on one of these things, and that makes you to select one of them, and that's how you change colors. Still quite tedious, but definitely less than having to work with out one. Yeah, so I do think that is kind of the thing that threw off the sleeve cap, just because the tensioning was a bit different there. And then you have the top here, the collar. Yeah, the collar. And I had difficulties with the collar because, so it is. They tell you to just cast on a number of stitches, and then you create the collar by increasing on the sides. And then once that's done, you seam it to the piece, and then you do some crochet finishing all around to make it sit flat. And I was struggling trying to seam it to the piece. Well, I did seam it, but the neck was just not sitting nicely. And that was quite a big issue for me. And so I tried numerous times to fix it until I just gave up, and I just picked up stitches all around the neck, and I just hand knitted it, and it sits a lot nicer than before. So I'm very happy with that. So like I said, many new things that I had to learn, the color changing, but I'm like so many things using the color changer. The thing that really tripped me up was the finishing of this piece. And I mean, if you're a knitter or crocheter, you know, finishing is the least favorite thing of many many people, but I am a vouch supporter, advocate for learning finishing techniques and practicing them, because if I'm being really honest, it's really hard. Finishing is so hard. Finishing nicely, doing your finishing neatly is so hard and takes so much effort and concentration, which is why I understand a lot of people are not very interested in it. But the payoff is huge. If you don't do your finishing nicely, that can ruin your entire piece. If you do it well, it can elevate your piece very much so, which is why I'm an advocate for it. So the finishing in this piece was mostly just doing single crochet all around the collar and at the front. And one of the things that I struggled with was getting a nice, I don't know if I can show you. One of the things that I really struggled with was getting a nice and clean finish here on the side, because every single time I was doing the single crochet, you could see the color, the different color, the different stripes were peeking through the border. It was just not looking like, it wasn't looking, it was not giving, basically. And so I spent some time not working on this piece, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, trying to figure out what would be the best technique to pick up stitches for single crochet to make it look nice. I ended up finding another vintage knitting manual that explained how you're supposed to pick up crochet stitches on the sides, but also at the top, the rate at which you're supposed to do that. And then I practiced a lot. I think on the old collar I maybe crocheted that 5 times until I got the results that I wanted. And so that was really nice. I also learned how to do a button loop, for a crochet button loop to get it nicely. I learned how to do crochet a button loop, and also kind of interesting. So basically you single crochet, and then at some point you just start chaining stitches enough for the loop, then you attach it to the previous or the current single crochet that you were at before you started chaining, and then you work your way around those chains with a single crochet, and then you move on. I hope that made any sense, but that's basically what I did here. Again, this is not a nice way of showing it, but that's what I did here. And then this button, actually, I used a button mold. Yeah, so you have those, you have those buttons, right, that you can make yourself. So you just have a piece of fabric, and then you put it around the button mold, and then you put the back of the button mold, you attach it, kind of trapping in the fabric on the inside, and then you have this special presser, and then you have one with your own fabric. So I thought, oh, maybe I can do that with knitting. So I knitted a tiny piece of stockinette stitch in this color, and I tried to get it into the button mold, but the fabric was just too thick, so I had to think of a solution. And then I found a knitting book from the 70s. I'll try and find the name, or I'll leave a link in the description box if I can. And it's not a knitting manual only, it's a series of books, I believe from the 70s, where they show you how to knit, sew and crochet, and then some other special types of handcrafts. And in one of those I saw how to crochet around a button mold, and so I just practiced a couple of times and did it, and just added the button. I'm very happy because I was actually going to just use a regular button, but I felt that, I did find one that matched the burgundy color, but there was just something that didn't really feel right. And I just felt that maybe just using a button that kind of can fade into the piece would be a bit nicer. So that all worked out, and so now it's done, and I'm very happy with it. Okay, so that is everything for today. As always, thank you very much for watching. Also, if you have any questions, more information you would like to know about this, or anything else that you would like to ask me, please leave a comment in the comment section below, because I would actually be very happy to answer questions about knitting and crochet and things like that. So if there's any way I could potentially help, just let me know, and I'll try and answer them in a future video. Yeah, like I said before, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Bye bye!